with leaving the country illegally and sentenced to imprisonment for 5 years. Shortly afterwards, his ANC comrades were captured with evidence which incriminated Mandela. He returned to court for the Rivonia trial, where he and 8 others faced a possible death penalty.
The very speech which was made by Nelson consolidated the spirit of the people outside, because it was a defiant spirit.
I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the idea of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die.
The Director of Cabinet at the Office of the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Eric Ate, with an understanding of the methods of historical inquiry, including how evidence is used rigorously to make historical claims and discern how and why contrasting arguments and interpretations of the past have been constructed, brings an assessment of the objective status of this particular instance of knowledge to be judged, not by some atemporal comparison with given facts, but by a historical investigation in the place of that instance of knowledge being considered.
The very speech which was made by Nelson consolidated the spirit of the people outside, because it was a defiant spirit.
I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the idea of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die.
People of Ambazonia, I hear people come up with this distortion of history that Mandela ruled from jail. I must say, it is laughable because in the first place, South African blacks were fighting for equal rights within their country, while the president...
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
Good evening. Welcome to Undaunted, bringing to you untold stories only on ABC Amba TV. I am Oni Opala with the news. Let's begin. After weeks and months of talks by world leaders, Putin appears to be adamant. Will the Monday talks between Ukraine and Russia bear any fruit? More than 2,000 arrested at anti-war protests in Russia. UK says Russian advance in Kyiv slowed by staunch Ukrainian resistance. Ukraine says Russian troops reduce pace of offensive. The UK says it is targeting the Russian central bank. That aside, satellite images show new military activity. Prior to Monday's meeting, Ukraine's government had urged citizens to take up arms to repel the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Across the country, the beautiful part of this tragic story is that people from all walks of life in Ukraine are answering the call. But then, if they don't defend their cities and country, who will? While the nation calls on the international community's rapid intervention, critics believe that the West could just be a toothless bulldog. Will the West provide any kind of backing to Ukraine as they battle to protect their national territory? And if that is made possible, within a couple of days, what could possibly be the outcome? Third World War? Ambazonia's frontline leader, Habat Bo, tweets in reaction, Russia rains missiles in the sky over Ukraine. Recolonization in grand military sophisticated style. It may be tons of bombs above what Cameroon and France are dropping in southern Cameroon, but the outcome is the same. People die and a state is recolonized. While mainstream undermines the plight of Ambazonia, Dr. Muzu schemes with the oppressors to save French Cameroon's occupation in Ambazonia. Ambazonians have got to beware of any meetings to be launched convened by Dr. Muzu and his co-conspirators on Ground Zero, the diaspora, and the international community from the 27th February 2022 and beyond. Our intelligence has it that it's about to put a final nail on the coffin. The confusion in the struggle, which is not without his knowledge, and makes it a pretext for him, his enablers on Ground Zero, La République de Cameroon, diaspora, and the international community to usher in their plan to finally kill hopes for the restoration of our statehood. This is an alert from a bona fide Ambazonian in Douala. The defunct Restoration Council is at it again. How can lawmakers break the law, violate their own house procedures with impunity, and stand by it? Is this the foundation we are laying for Ambazonia? ASSP2 is 10 days away. What is there to hope for? These and many more will be the focus of the Undaunted tonight. But first, let us take the prime headlines.
Prime headlines. Ukraine has asked its civilians to take up arms. Meanwhile, politicians are hoping that talks of Monday could provide some diplomatic solutions. Victims of AFCON 2021 casualties are finally getting their compensations. Dr. Tite has said that falsehood can never triumph over truth. The Ambazonia Liberation War puts French Cameroon on its knees. Ambazonia Stakeholder Strategic Conference is 10 days away. What is there to hope for?
After weeks and months of talks by world leaders, Putin appears to be adamant. Will the Monday talks between Ukraine and Russia bear any fruit? More than 2,000 arrested at anti-war protests in Russia. UK says Russian advance on Kyiv slowed by staunch Ukrainian resistance. Ukraine says Russian troops reduce pace of offensive. The UK says it is targeting the Russian central bank. That aside, satellite images show new military activity. Prior to Monday's meeting, Ukraine's government has urged citizens to take up arms to repel the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Across the country, the beautiful part of this tragic story is that people from all walks of life in Ukraine are answering the call. But then, If they don't defend their cities and country, who will? Will the nation call on the international community's rapid intervention? Critics believe that the West could just be a toothless bulldog. Will the West provide any kind of backing to Ukrainians as they battle to protect their national territory? And if that is made possible within the next couple of days, what could possibly be the outcome? Third World War? According to President Vladimir Zelensky's tweet on Thursday, he said, "We will give weapons to anyone who wants to defend the country and ready to support Ukraine in the squares of our cities." The Ukrainian Territorial Defense Forces, which is believed to have more than 130,000 volunteers, has been conducting weekend training sessions for months in preparation to help defend itself from Russia. Now that the attack has started, Ukrainians across the country are mobilizing and turning to the Territorial Defense Forces to arm them and send them into the fight. Those between 18 and 60 were allowed to join. In Kyiv, a line stretched down the block at a police station to receive weapons and bullets that officials handed out after brief background checks. Ukrainian Interior Minister Denis Monasty said in a video message that volunteers in Kyiv alone were given more than 25,000 automatic rifles, about 10 million bullets, and rockets, propelled grenades and launchers. "What's there to be afraid of?" said a 19-year-old Vyansky Belenky who was waiting to enlist in Kyiv. "When I'm sitting around, I'm scared. And here, there is nothing to fear. But here I know what's happening, and I hope my loved ones will be all right. I will make sure they are all right," he said. It's the sort of civilian insurgency that Ukraine is counting on to help fend off a Russian military that has significantly more manpower and firepower. But arming civilians, many of whom have little training, risks exacerbating the violence in cities across Ukraine, and is potentially giving the Russian military more pretext to fire indiscriminately. Right Watchdog says more than 5,000 demonstrators have been detained across the country since President Putin launched the war in Ukraine. Russian forces' advance in Kyiv has been slowed by logistical failures and fears Ukrainian resistance, the United Kingdom's defense ministry says. The police in Russia have arrested more than 2,000 anti-war protesters across the country, an independent monitor said, on the fourth day of President Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine that took many Russians by surprise. OVD Info, which has documented crackdown on Russia's opposition for years, said 2,114 protesters were arrested on Sunday. These brought the total tally of protesters arrested since Putin launched the invasion in the early hours of Thursday to 5,250, the monitor said. In Moscow, riot police often outnumbered protesters, some of whom carried handwritten placards with peace signs and anti-war slogans in Russian and Ukrainian. Some wore marks with the word "enough" emblazoned in the front. The bulk of Putin's ground forces remain more than 30 kilometers to the north of Kyiv, their advance having been slowed by Ukrainian forces defending Hostomel Alfred, a key Russian objective for day one of the conflict, the ministry said. Logistical failure and staunch Ukrainian resistance continue to frustrate the Russian advance. Heavy fighting continues around Chernihiv, a city in northern Ukraine, and the northeastern city of Kyiv, the defense ministry said in an intelligence update posted on Twitter. Both cities remain under Ukrainian control, it added. The Ukrainian military says Russian troops have slowed down their assaults. The Russian occupiers have reduced the pace of the offensive, but are still trying to defend success in some areas, the General Staff of the Armed Forces also said. The Ukrainian military says Russian troops have slowed down their assault. The Russian occupiers have reduced the pace of the offensive but are still trying to develop success in some areas, the General Staff of the Armed Forces said. Secretary of State Cardinal Pietro Parolin, who ranked second only to Pope in the Vatican hierarchy, told Italian newspaper that despite the war unleashed by Russia against Ukraine, he was convinced there is always room for negotiations. As it gets worse, the United Kingdom says it is taking further measures against the Russian Central Bank, that is, the CBR. The UK government will immediately take all necessary steps to bring into effect restrictions to prohibit any UK natural or legal persons from undertaking financial transactions involving the CBR, the Russian National Wealth Fund, and the Ministry of Finance of the Russian Federation, the government also said. NATO, US, must take Putin's announcement seriously, an analyst observed. Jim Welsh, an expert in international security and a research associate at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's Security Studies program, said NATO and the US have to take Putin's announcement on placing Russia's nuclear forces on high alert seriously. For an adversary goes on nuclear alert. If an adversary goes on nuclear alert and you are a target of that, then you are going to begin to make preparation in case your adversary moves higher along the alert chain, Welsh told Al Jazeera. But I think politically it's hard to believe that anyone takes it seriously, he said. My guess is that in particular, people in the Pentagon, military officials, are reaching out to their counterparts in Russia in quite close conversation. I think back-channel communication, reassurance, that will be the main emphasis, at least in the US and in NATO, because there is obviously no reason for this to escalate into a nuclear war, he also added. EU chief says bloc wants Ukraine as a member. They are one of us. Ukraine belongs in the European Union and the bloc would like to see the country be a part of it in time. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has told Euronews. Indeed, over time, they belong to us. They are one of us and we want them in, von der Leyen said. Her comments came hours after the 27-nation EU decided to supply weapons to Ukraine, a first in the bloc's history. US company Megzer Technologies has released a series of new satellite images that appear to show a large development of Russian ground forces, including tanks, moving in the direction of Kyiv from approximately 64 kilometers. That is 40 miles away. The images showed a deployment consisting of hundreds of military vehicles and extending more than 5 kilometers, that is 3.25 miles away. The convoy was northeast of the Ukrainian city of Ivankiv and included fuel, logistics, and armored vehicles, including tanks, infantry, fighting vehicles, and self-propelled artillery, Megzer said. Bolsonaro won't condemn Putin but says Brazil will remain neutral. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has declined to condemn Putin's invasion of Ukraine while departing from his government's official stance at the UN to say Brazil won't remain neutral. Bolsonaro, a far-right populist, recently snubbed US entreaties not to visit Putin in Moscow ahead of the invasion and angered Western allies by saying he was in solidarity with Russia without elaborating. At a press conference, Bolsonaro said Russia and Ukraine were particularly brother nations. In his words, he says, "We will not take sides. We will continue being neutral and help with whatever is possible," Bolsonaro said. The ongoing war that was declared on the southern Cameroons by the octogenarian La République de Cameroon's dictator, President Paul Biya, since November 30, 2017, has brought devastating effects to the economy, rendering the state treasury near impotent and unable to settle its external debts. The Southern Cameroon's National Congress, SCNC's watchword has been and remains the force of argument, not the argument of force, as it battled out the illegal union between La République of the Cameroon and Southern Cameroon. Today, the argument of force has become a stock in trade in La République de Cameroon for even its own citizens to fight for their rights being trampled upon. Meanwhile, teachers in French Cameroon have been on strike since Monday for non-payment of their bonuses and money for marking examination for about 5 years. They have refused to mark examination in 2022 if not paid. In another development, laborers who worked during the 2021 African Cup of Nations AFCON that ran from January 9 to February 6, 2022 are protesting because they have not also been paid. Some hired laborers say after effectively rendering services, their hirers collected their contact and telephone numbers, promising to send them their pay through mobile money. Nothing has been done and nothing is being said. Also are those who lost their lives once at the Olympic Stadium stampede. The government made fake promises to assist the families, and nothing has been done yet as they bury their loved ones. The ill-prepared fake coup by the Undaunted Anu Kometa Abongwa et al. Axis confirms the God-ordained Ambazonian struggle, and the falsehood can never triumph over truth. But the big question now is, who bails the cat? Many have asked the question why Dr. Titer accepted the offer in the first place when he, Thomas, now the Undaunted Anu Kometa Abongwa et al. Axis calls him chicken-hearted, and that they will look for a non-chicken-hearted after having orchestrated an ill-prepared fake coup. Why can the coup plotters themselves not take the bull by the horns? That's why the question of who bails the cat comes in. Anu Kometa Abongwa should assume responsibility if they are not guilty and stop the paradigm shift. Meanwhile, the president of the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Southern Cameroon, Dr. Samuel Ikomesako, has said repeatedly that Ambazonia has one enemy, and that is La République de Cameroon, and that anyone who is not for total separation and restoration of the statehood of Ambazonia is an enemy. According to him, the long and tortuous journey to Boer has unmasked a lot of such persons, the latest being Anu Kometa Abongwa et al. Gab Ellison has more.
Dr. Tita Ng Emmanuel's action assures true Ambazonian liberation fighters that we still have men and women of integrity, that Ambazonian blood has not spilled for nothing, and that the truth and only the truth shall set us free from within and without. My conscience will not allow me to continue in what appears to be an enterprise of hate that has the propensity to destroy our struggle for a free homeland. I discovered after close observation and investigation that most of what Chairman Kometa and his group based their so-called impeachment on were innuendos and fabrication. I was not giving a single credible proof, and from the integrity of my heart, I have decided that I won't be part of a project founded on lies. Dr. Tita. On April 3, 1849, the Frankfurt Parliament offered Frederick William IV of Prussia the imperial crown of Germany. The king flatly refused, saying that he would not accept a crown from the gutter. Dr. Tita Ng Emmanuel could be compared to Frederick William IV at a moment like this, when many like Biya, Anu Kometa Abongwa et al. Are power-drunk and are ready to stop at nothing, including elimination of rivals, to climb to the top or remain at the top. Hardly has the dust raised by Dr. Tita's move settled following the can of worms opened by the Anu Kometa Abongwa et al. Gate. Honorable Otto Thiele, another influential member of the defunct Restoration Council and representative for Europe, throws in the towel in a resignation letter dated February 23, 2022. As it is said in military jargon in Pidgin English, when man pass you, carry your bag. The handwriting is on the wall, and it is high time every bona fide Ambazonian of every walk of life, still with hangovers of moral and ethical values, to throw their weight behind Sacco, the strategist, the brain, the genius, the nucleus, and live wire behind the Ambazonian revolution, and stop struggling in vain to give a dog a bad name, to hang it. Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
How can lawmakers break the law, violate their own house procedures with impunity and stand by it? Is this the foundation we are laying for Ambazonia? Chairman Elvis Cometa and some members of the Restoration Council have demonstrated beyond reasonable doubt that they have personal interest in getting President Sacco out of power. In a missive from Condago Principal Prison, Dicom Tazang Wilfred possesses several unanswered questions, but is consoled that the upcoming ASSC2 will cut a way forward for a free Ambazonia. Chairman Cometa is openly involved in treasonous activities, brazenly and boldly violating the interim constitution, putting his will above the collective will of Ambazonian. In a bid to cut short President Sacco's tenure, that the Restoration Council Chair Cometa induced the council into error by ambushing the interim constitution IC, announcing a 2-year term for the president without amending the constitution. Justice cannot be established on falsehood. Rather, it must be predicated on the truth. The Ambazonian quest is predicated on the truth that injustice was done to us in 1961 and that we were forced into an unworkable union against provisions of the UN Charter and other international instruments, and most importantly, against the wish of our forebearers, against our wish. It is therefore doesn't sit well in our desire to restore justice if we engage in falsehood, treachery, and treasonous activities. As stated by the interim constitution, the Restoration Council in Ambazonia's Council legislature with powers to enact laws, the same interim constitution was voted by the RC and signed by Chairman Cometa. How can the same council turn around to violate it as the first opportunity, as we see in La République de Cameroon? How can the same council turn around to violate it as the first opportunity, as we see in La République de Cameroon, disregarding all procedures for its amendment? How can the Restoration Council maintain at its head a man who has consistently shown that he will stop at nothing to ruin the struggle and its leader? We should be careful once again. I have spoken the mind of God on this matter, that Elvis Cometa is seen whining, dining, and confronting with individuals opposed to the IG without preamble and without permission from the president, should put us all in the edge. As it stands, I have no reason to doubt the stories according to which the Restoration Council Chair met the La République de Cameroon authorities in Cotonou. One would have thought that the Restoration Council Chair would have, out of goodwill, ordered to mediate in the crisis within the cabinet, even without being petitioned. No, there was and there is no goodwill on his part. Rather, we have seen him wait in ambush, aiding and abetting traitors, openly pledging support for the sacked communications secretary. His silence on Chris Anu's March 2021 call for IG dissolution was not only complacent, it was an active support for a call to ruin the struggle. Beware of any meetings to be launched, convened by Dr. Muzio and his co-conspirators on Ground Zero, the diaspora and the international community from the 27th February 2022 and beyond. He is about to put a final nail on the coffin. The confusion in the struggle, which is not without his knowledge, and making it a pretext for him, his enablers on Ground Zero, La République de Cameroon diaspora, and the international community to usher in their plan to finally kill hopes for the restoration of our statehood. This is an alert from a bona fide Ambazonian in Daula. It is now very clear that Monzo, whose true identity stretches to Umbo in the littoral region in La République de Cameroon, his father having migrated and taken refuge in Gutu local government area in Kupumangube County, creating relations through marriage with the Unzo Ekangakis, could not have been heading the betrayal courses to keep southern Cameroon, Ambazonia in perpetual slavery with La République de Cameroon without interest. No doubt Monzo, who has always found himself at almost every forefront as concerns the southern Cameroon Ambazonia matters, have been so favored by the colonial master to defend La République de Cameroon interests, pulling the legs of the bona fide southern Cameroon Ambazonians down as he tries to pull the blanket each time to the enemy's camp. This could be seen in the famous Tumir Monzo Ellie Smith aborted all Anglophone conference that never was. It was evident from the southern Cameroon called Major National Dialogue, which was nothing more than a CPDM come together, and his support for the special status, his support for the failed CDM Toronto retreat and other La République de Cameroon initiative. Ambazonia under captivity has pushed this report, the Bamenda proclamation of 1994. In the light of the foregoing, the Anglophone people of Cameroon meeting at the Bamenda in the second All-Anglophone Conference, that is the AAC2, solemnly adopt and issue the following proclamation. Gab Ellison completes the story.
It is now very clear that Monzo, whose true identity stretches to Umbo, in the littoral region of La République de Cameroon, where his father having migrated and took refuge in Unguti local government area, Kupemwanenguba County, creating relations through marriage with the Zo Ekangakis, could still be heading the betrayal courses to keep southern Cameroon's Ambazonia in perpetual slavery with La République du Cameroon without interest. Monzo, who has always found himself at almost every forefront as concerns the southern Cameroonians / Ambazonia matters, has been so favored by the colonial master to defend her interest, pulling the legs of bona fide southern Cameroonians / Ambazonians down as he tries to pull the blanket each time to the enemy camp. This could be seen in the famous Tume Monzo. Ellie Smith aborted all Anglophone conference that never was. It was evident for all to see in the so-called Major National Dialogue, in bracket monologue, which was nothing more than a CPDM come together and his support for the special status. His support for the failed CDN Toronto retreat and other fake La République du Cameroon initiatives to put southern Cameroonians / Ambazonia under captivity has pushed this our news desk to revisit the Bamenda proclamation of 1994. In the light of the foregoing, the Anglophone people of Cameroon meeting at Bamenda in the second All-Anglophone Conference, AAC2, solemnly adopt and issue the following proclamation. Excerpt, Section 6. Should the government either persist in its refusal to engage in meaningful constitutional talks or fail to engage in such talks within a reasonable time, the Anglophone Council shall inform the Anglophone people by all suitable means. It shall thereupon proclaim the revival of the independence and sovereignty of the Anglophone territory of the southern Cameroons and take all measures necessary to secure, defend, and preserve the independence, sovereignty, and integrity of the said territory. Section 7. Following the proclamation of the revival of the independence and sovereignty of southern Cameroon, as provided for herein above, the Anglophone Council shall, without having to convene another session of the All-Anglophone Conference, transform itself into the Southern Cameroon Constituent Assembly for the purpose of drafting, debating, and adopting a constitution for the independent and sovereign state of Southern Cameroons. This was read by Dr. Simon Monzo in Bamenda on May 1, 1994, and in June 1995, St. Muna, Simon Monzo, Ekontang Elad, J.N. Foncher, Jolly Tumbe, etc. crossed the Mongo Bridge with the UN flag after a trip to New York to make a case for an independent southern Cameroon state. Where is Mumzu's sincerity and honesty in all this now? That he fans the flames of Yaoundé, Anu, Kometa, Abongwa, et al. Axis. Some say, by their fruits, we shall know them. Ambazonia must be free. Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
Dear Ambazonians, it is worth emphasizing that the attendance at the Ambazonia Stakeholders Strategic Conference, that is the ASSC2, holding in Washington, D.C. from March 3rd to the 13th, will be hybrid. This means that participants and representatives from the various local government areas and counties can either attend physically or virtually, that is via Zoom. You really do not need to travel to Washington, USA to attend the ASSC2. However, those in the Interim Constitutional Legal Framework Committee are required to be present physically in Washington to facilitate their tasks. Regards, ASSC2 Task Force. Before we end the news, here is a recap of the major stories. Ukraine has asked its civilians to take up arms. Casualties of AFCON 2021 are finally getting their compensation. Dr. Tita has said that falsehood can never triumph over truth. The Ambazonia Liberation War puts French Cameroon on its knees. Ambazonia Stakeholders Strategic Conference will hold in March 2022. Alright, this is just to officially announce to you that we are back with the news, Undaunted, bringing it into the news Untold Stories. I am Onyi Opala. Will leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello, good afternoon, fellow Ambazonians. I understand this should be exactly 4 p.m. in Boya, and that's 7 minutes after 4 p.m. in Abakwa town, Bamenda. I'm greeting all those watching from the great town of Manu, from Ediki, Ekumbe, watching from Ekondo Titi, where we got wonderful news coming in from our brave restoration is just a couple of days ago. You have just been watching Undaunted, bringing into the news Untold Story with Onye Okpala, our anchor woman for today and for now. We will be heralding the news from all corners of the world, from Africa, from South Africa, from Ghana, from India, from Europe, London. I'm sure you would have seen the handbill that is going out there, and from the United States of America. And we're calling on Ambazonians around the world that will need some political, economic, and socio-cultural news analysts to volunteer. After Horizon this evening is going to be exceptional with Mani Ma Rachel. After Horizon, you're going to have a rebroadcast of this news. Tomorrow, I understand some people are saying it's quite early. We're doing some test transmissions because we're producing the news from different parts of the world and we want to be sure of some things. In a couple of days, we're going to have test transmissions like this coming up impromptu. I want to thank all Ambazonians who tuned in at this time. We did not pre-notify you of the news coming. And when you come, just inform somebody, those watching on Facebook and on YouTube, inform somebody that we are live, and that is it. So this news is going to be, whatever you're watching now will be rebroadcast after Horizon. Immediately after that, the newsroom connecting with all the news with Diamond Abbey. You've seen Diamond Abbey. That's a veteran journalist that has reported that how 30 years experience in news anchor, and she's here in the United States. You have Nijo, who is a veteran tutor and speaks English. Nijo will be handling the media. You have Honorable who is going to be handling our PG news. And we open to movements. Like you some time ago, it's a time for Ambazonia. It's the only platform that is going to be promoting Ambazonia by 100%. We believe that Ambazonia deserves in the world of greatness, excellence. We are not afraid to compete, and we are of the market making. Well, what the edge of the BBC, the CNN, and whatever news house you want. So we'll be upgrading every newscast. We have improved on many other things. What you're going to be watching to be another dramatic, extraordinary improvement in terms of our plan. And every day, our idea is to compete with all powers in the market of news, and why not beat them in no distant time from now. So we're asking every Ambazonian, this is not a platform, it's no longer a one-man show. It is a platform for Ambazonia where Ambazonia will have the opportunity to tell her own story herself. We would have started before now, but we do not just want to do another news. We want to do an Ambazonia interpretation of the news, an Ambazonia graphics. If you look at it, it is not a copy paste. It is a graphic the way of an Ambazonian. We're using monuments and things that represent our story, our story the way we want it. We think that every Ambazonian should be a part of this. And before I get into, I have just a few minutes to be with you. I promise I won't take much of your time. I will be presenting a rejoinder of the La Republique Play newspaper, that's the Post, the Guardian Post. But before I do that, I want to thank the ABC Amba Club members. I want to say a big thank you for being very supportive. They bought for being very supportive, believing in the vision of the president to give a platform that belongs to Ambazonia 100%, to all the hundreds of donors who have subscribed on the www.abcambatv.com website. Many are still subscribing. Only yesterday, I'm sure about 10 people. We're counting every day people keep subscribing and paying in to promote us. That's a proof that to us is a vote of confidence. It's a vote that you believe in the vision of this man who is selfless, who thinks that Ambazonia should not be hijacked by interest, those who want to have their own TV platforms, those who want to be shareholders. There is no shareholding with ABC Amba TV. It is purely 100% Ambazonian. And that's why you have to be a part of it. If you want to host a program on ABC Amba TV, the platform is all yours. You have to just go through editorial policy, which is first and foremost the wish of Ambazonia 100%. And nothing less, nothing short. So much for us to talk about, but we have little or no time to get into this discussion. I'm sure you would have seen on the social media the Guardian Post and always making terrible captions as to what is happening. But again, before I go there, the financial, I would say, financial unit of the communications department and the ABC has released a handbill. You must have seen it out there. Just to tell you, ABC Amba TV is the official sponsor of ASSC2. We're going to do big things. That is what we have to do, taking responsibility to promote Ambazonian things. In a couple of weeks, or not just immediately after the ASSC2, the ABC Amba TV will also be sponsoring an international press conference, and we're looking forward to have, why not, big media houses, CNN, the Al Jazeera, and BBC. We will penetrate any available system to make sure that our story, and you want to be a part of this big dream. And so according to the handbill, let me just go through it real quickly so that you get to see what is happening. Proudly sponsored by ABC Amba. So the ABC Amba payment channels have been released there by Comrade Claude, who is the financial man behind the ABC. Very responsible, very personal, and very accountable. So for those who want to start your donations, I think if you go on the Facebook ABC Amba TV, you're going to find there that you can also make for ASSC. And donations, last night after the town hall, I made to understand that about $5,000 was donated just within a first. That's amazing. So you now see what I'm talking about, differentiating between noise makers and stakeholders. So stakeholders come together and they talk and they rally some funds. Many have donated money for FM No 10 Kobo, and they are sending monies to Gabonese, and that's amazing. These individuals, when they receive it, there are a lot of concerns. We're going to do things quite differently this time. As soon as they get some of this compensation or motivation from stakeholders of Ambazonia, we will definitely bring to you proof. They are willing to acknowledge receipt of whatever Ambazonians are giving. So keep donating and keep donating and keep donating. Okay, before I get into that rejoinder, that should be our last thing to talk about. I want to talk to you again about the national treasury. I have seen, we've just seen a communique signed by a certain Honorable Dr. Metuge. I don't know if these men really understand. I'm not going to read that communique. Some of you would have seen it. But then you find a group of people, hijackers. Dr. Tita says they are disgruntled. I don't know why they should be disgruntled. I don't know if they are the ones receiving the bullets in ground zero. But then their rightful title is coup plot. They are coup plotters or coopers, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if that is English, but you can call them whatever you want to call it, because they are men from the gutter, men who have no regard for our interim constitution. And they are bent on disrespecting this constitution. They are very unapologetic. They continue disrespecting it, if they ever understood. So you find a couple of individuals, mostly inspired by Mr. Arno, with the assumption that they have what to do. And he's trying to inform Ambazonians that they have a key. They don't have the key of the national treasury. The president, I would like to emphasize what the president said. I want to emphasize it. The president said something very vital. The treasury of Ambazonia is not a political organization. For untamed politicians, empty-headed politicians to assume that they will have to hijack it or make others pay it. The only thing they can do is to do what it can be interpreted by the law as robbery or infringement. This organization, Ambazonia Foundation, aka National Treasury, has been registered under the American laws, and there are procedures that will have to be followed. If anyone has chosen to take the law into their hands, to assume that they have a right, now, after they have failed, they are coming after the National Treasury to hijack money that they did not put in. These individuals started campaigning months ago, telling Ambazonians, do not donate to the president. But a test, a vote of confidence, a vote into office, Ambazonians that are stakeholders prove to them that this is the man we want, this is the visionary we believed in, and donated thousands of dollars. For Lava Storm 3 alone, close to 50,000 US dollars was donated just under very few nights. And they are so eager, so anxious, so envious of that. Mr. Anu, of course, came immediately on his TV to say that was a fraud. I'm sure when his insiders, criminals within the treasury, told him, listen, that is true, they now think that by reason they want to hold it. They cannot. Ambazonians, the president is telling you to calm down, top of the game. So on talk, they will talk for last time, big time. And when I tell you that, just calm yourself down. Don't be moved. I'm going to read something very quickly. That's a press release that was sent out by the Judiciary Commission just about 2 days ago. I want to do that now, and so that we can see what I'm talking about. I've heard some audios. It's unfortunate that young men that should be reading, that should not be on the wrong side of history. Some of them are attempting to attack me. You know the person I am. And if you want to attack me, you have to choose. Do you want to do it the ghetto way? Let me know. If you want to do it the way, then let me know. But I'm on the side of legality. I'm challenging you all. I'm challenging Arno. I'm challenging all the activists. I'm saying you're wrong. If you think you're right, let's visit the Constitution. Invite me even on your platform and let's have a debate, a discussion. And I will challenge you that you are just as stupid and you need to be ashamed of yourself. We are not going to build a nation where rock stars, rascals will take the floor. We will respect our own binding documents. We will respect our own laws. And I'm on the side of the law. I'm on the side of factual information. I give to you information that at least has been verified to a very great extent. If you doubt it, all you have to do is to prove me wrong. And I wouldn't mind to apologize. I said it the other day. I said the defunct Restoration Council has always been wrong. And unfortunately, they have denied to be apologetic. They would have apologized to Ambazonians. They understand you can make mistakes. Rather, in their arrogance and ignorance, they want to destroy. So who are they working for? If you look at the headline of the Guardian Post today, you now know who they are working for. Cameroon has one strategy: to divide and to conquer. Let me read something very quickly coming from the Judiciary Commission, and I'll conclude 5 minutes only. I'll conclude on the nonsense that is coming from the Guardian Post. So I want to read this. This is an attention that was dated February 28 and was sent to Evis Committee for the attention of Mr. Evis Committee and the Restoration Council. So this was coming from the Judicial Commission. Dear sir, notice has been brought to us of a document purportedly signed on February 24th, 2022 by Mr. Evis Committee as Chair of Restoration Council of the Interim Government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. The document titled Communique to the People of Ambazonia is titled Ongoing Audit at the National Treasury of the Republic of Ambazonia. So let's follow very closely. The Judiciary Council of the Interim Government wishes to inform Mr. Cometa Evis in particular and the people of Ambazonia in general that under Article 19, you see, these are people, they just don't understand, know nothing, and they are not humble. If they continue to push, then one of these days, we will get to the extreme with Ambazonians. This energy should be used to French Cameroon, but it would appear they are doing the work of French Cameroon. And therefore, the energy that is meant for criminals of French Cameroon, either in the diaspora or on ground zero, will be meted on them. Believe you me, we are on the side of truth. I want to inform Ambazonians, perhaps you're not aware, our terms of references, our interim constitution, in whatever country where we find ourselves, is legally binding. If we find ourselves that a third party is supposed to judge us, they will have to go through our terms of references. How did we agree that we're going to function? They'll have to go through it. So if you despise it and you think that you have a big mouth, or you have a social media following, you can just do as you please. Be rest assured that we will come after you. And we're not going to do so in a clandestine manner. We're going to do it from a side of truth and from the side of legality. I think anyone, any activist who has any rejoinder against me, do so based on the laws of the land. Quote even our article and say, Tapadi, this is what I think. And this, because I'm challenging you all, you're all wrong. And I'm right. Use the document we have to challenge me. Don't make noise. First of all, because you cannot threaten me. You cannot. So I continue reading. The Judiciary Council of the Interim Government wishes to remind Mr. Cometa Evis, in particular, and the people of Ambazonia in general, that under Article 19, subsection 4A of the Interim Constitution of Ambazonia, the Judiciary Council is the legal advisor to the government and draftman of the executive branch of government. We note also that the Restoration Council, under whose authority Mr. Cometa claims to be acting, has its role defined in Article 15, subsection 1. Thus, the Restoration Council shall have A, advisory functions, B, quasi-legislative functions, C, vetting functions. It is clear to me that this grammar here is very difficult for Cometa. It's difficult for Chris Arno to understand. It's difficult for Abongwa. And some coup plotters, evil has just blinded them. These are people previously had some respect. Now that document is out there. You may want to go through it. You may want to understand it for yourself. I want to talk about the nonsense that is coming in from the so-called newspaper. I would like to talk about it right now. And if we could have that on the screen, so about it very briefly. Now you look at what they are saying there. Who should government dialogue with? What a question. This caption is manipulative. Get it straight. Why do I say it is manipulative? I thought there was a CDN conference in Canada, and that was sponsored by the government, and I was looking for a way. So this is an affirmation that the CDN in Canada was a fraud. And shockingly, I would say Team ACT is now confusing in their policy and action. So we don't know where they belong. During CDN, we thought that ACT was a part of the site that is supposed to be 100%. Well, we still believe that Team ACT is not going to allow infiltration. But then there's something in it that you have to know. The arrest of members of Agbobala-led consortium, Ayuk Tabe-led leadership, power tussle between Chris Arno and Sako Ikome. Stop. Here is the manipulation. There is no power tussle between Chris Arno and Sako Ikome. And you see, I do reporting, so I know it's fine. To prove to you that Arno is working there, they have to put his name. He was the secretary. He was of Sako Ikome, of Dr. Sako, the current. And then you don't put his name like that if he is not serving the objective of Yaoundé. And first of all, Arno has no power. Come on. The last rejoinder I sent out to the Guardian Post, I told them, at least if you have to report about our story, we are aware that it's you to do dirty jobs. But if you have to report Ambazonia's story, it is just simple. Do one thing. Go to our constitution and find out so that you can talk. That is what we call political analysis. That's what we call news, not distract. I'm going to bring up a panel and we're going to have this discussion. I want to make it clear I'm talking to Yaoundé. Get it straight. Your agent, Chris Arno, has no power. He is just a recalcitrant who has opted to despise the interim constitution of Ambazonia, the laws. He does not even understand his terms of reference for the department that was. He thought it was a TV show. He didn't know how to operate that platform. So he created for himself an anchorman show. And then he left with it and created ABS. So he is not wrestling. President Sako does not wrestle with him. Someone brought to my attention Sebastian talking on ABS and acknowledging that the Prime Minister of the Republic of Cameroon was communicated with him, and the main objective, the man Yaoundé wants to talk with, is Dr. Sako. And Dr. Sako has a policy, and he has said, I'm talking to no one. If you want me to talk with anyone, tell Mr. Bia I want to talk with him. That is integrity. That is the of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, not some pepper tiger. And so there's no need for any excitement. And I'm sure some of you watched the show when Bariku trying to claim, yes, yeah, they can talk with you, but they're not going to talk with the president. This is the stand I want to tell you today. The president has told Yaoundé, if you want to talk to me, then President Bia has to be there. Because some of you are not decision makers. But if Mr. Bia must send a representative, then I'm going to send an equivalent representative. So don't let anybody try to manipulate you. I hear some people who don't know how to create content. They are trying to highlight in their TV shows. They want to tell you revelation. That's not a revelation. That's stupidity. There are things. I'm privy to some information. The president is talking to men, real people of high offices, not just Yaoundé. And he has made it categorically clear, even at the UN Security Council. He has said, I'm not going to be part of any discussion if President Biya, the president of the French Republic or La République du Cameroun, is not there. If he's sending a representative, I will be sending an equivalent representative. So why double? Why cut corners? Just go to Swiss and let's have a discussion. If you discussion, Yaoundé should not use this paid platform that they actually want genuine, inclusive dialogue that will lead to a fair negotiation. And with one thing, Ambazonia becoming a nation on its own. So this fraud. But then I think that the Guardian newspaper deserves to have some integrity. They can only use this to talk to weak minds, dull individuals. Any educated, even French Cameroonians know that this is stupid reporting. I am calling on the Guardian newspaper, the chief editor. I've written to him privately, and I'm going to write to him again to stop. This paper deserves some respect for themselves. If you have been paid to do the job, you need to also pay professionals to do the right thing. You don't reduce your newspaper to paparazzi, to should I say so, form of reporting. Now let's get this very straight. Yaoundé knows who to talk to. Yaoundé knows the man who has the firepower on the ground. Yaoundé knows it. But then their strategy is dismantle it, use insider, dismantle it, and then make a caption like this one to make Ambazonians, oh, we need the unity. What form of unity? Now you want to talk about the ADF. Who is the ADF working for? We understand that within the past 3 years, ADF has been killing our forces on the ground, the Ambazonian restoration forces. I told you, and unapologetically, I'm telling you that whatever they want to call the unity warriors is a scam. It's a mask. The ring is a remix of a block by block, rooftop failure, whatever. It existed, it failed, it is not going to succeed now, neither will it succeed. Now let me say something. I have just about 3 minutes to go. One thing I want to say, remember, when our leaders were kidnapped, it was because of strange discussions, intelligence has it, between René Sadi and former President Sisiko Ayuk Julius Tabe. How was he picked up? There were arrangements. And now, at one time, I understand that René Sadi in Bamenda said they have a new strategy to fight Ambazonia. That strategy was unknown. And now they are thinking this strategy is another strategy they are going to use to fight. Use those whom you are assuming that have some power. Try to dismantle the structure that is the working structure. Look at it. The bits are finally coming together. Things are happening. Now they want to push a message out there to tell you, hey, these guys are all confused. No, we're not confused. We say meet us in Swiss. Then you will know that you are very united. In fact, you have to differentiate. The president says, federalists are not part of us. State, whatever you want to call it, special institutions and whatever, they are not part of us. They are in the site of La République du Cameroon. Now, those that are a part for discussion, you know it. We are not divided. Ambazonia, we're strong. I just thought that somebody should not be misguided or misinformed. It is the sole responsibility of this platform for us to inform you at any time disinformation and misinformation, either from amateur bloggers or activists or unschooled journalists within the Amazonian community or from paid journalism in Yaoundé. We will always come proactively to rejoin and contest falsehood. On that note, I think I should be telling us that we are in a good place to go. We're in a good place to go. You have a rebroadcast of the news you just had at 8 p.m. Amba time. That is immediately after Horizon. Thereafter, with all our hosts from different parts of the world, we have a bill that is showing them. We'll be having a meeting, a very brief meeting in the newsroom to strategize the way forward. Like I said, we're planting studios in different continents of the world. We'll be reporting from India, from Australia, from the United States. So you're going to have 24/7 world-class and world-standard news only on ABC Amba TV. On that note, I want to tell you that it was a great time being with you this afternoon. We will be back tomorrow with Undaunted and with the news. Okpala is excited to be the main anchor of our newscast, and she sends her greeting to the Ambazonian community. We are going to be reporting ASSC2 live from all across the world, from Washington. I think she will be there to report it live, every detail you want to have. And before I forget, your t-shirts for ASSC2 will be available. If you, the designs, the concluded design will be sent out in the next hour or so. I just received confirmation, and you can start paying for it. It is of good quality, produced in the United States of America. It's of very good quality, and it is affordable. And every delegate, every stakeholder is supposed to have one. So obligatorily, you are paying for one of the t-shirts. I cannot confirm the price now until I talk to the organizing committee. But as soon as that is concluded upon, you have that on all our platforms, on ABC, Amba TV website, on Facebook, on YouTube, and live. Those watching in Ground Zero, una stay strong. Shake, no day. We are unstoppable. This is the winning team. Party King. And I want to say, have a good night or have a great day. Bye-bye.
You're watching the People's Television.